In the last few weeks, a lot of people have reached out to me to ask me what I'm thinking or how I feel. So while I have your attention, I've decided to say it all right here in a format that's easy, I hope, to understand. I can't make you understand or learn 500 years of history, but I can tell you a little bit about where we are now. First, though, I'll need to explain and define some things, and I will start with race. Race and races are products of social thought and relations. They're not objective, inherent, or fixed. They correspond to no biological or genetic reality. Races are categories that the powerful in a society invent, manipulate, or retire when convenient. People share certain physical traits, of course, such as eye color, skin color, physique, and hair color and texture. But these things all exist in a range, and they constitute a tiny portion of our genetic endowment. And they're dwarfed by all that we have in common. And they have little or nothing to do with distinctly human, higher-order traits such as personality, intelligence, or moral behavior. Yeah, biological race is a lie that would have you believe 8 billion people fall into 5 distinct categories. A lie that was used to hold human beings and their descendants as chattel for hundreds of years. A lie that would have you believe that the creators and exploiters of that lie were the only ones to contribute to modern society. A lie that would have you believe rape was consensual, conquest was discovery, and bondage was a gift. These myths born of a lie are some of the foundational beliefs of white supremacy, and some of the foundational beliefs of the men who created America. There's a term, white supremacy, that despite explaining as delicately as I can, will probably anger some of you. So for a clear definition, I'll quote Professor David Gilbourn. By white supremacy, I do not mean to allude only to the self-conscious racism of white supremacist hate groups. I refer instead to a political, economic, and cultural system in which whites overwhelmingly control power and material resources. Conscious and unconscious ideas of white superiority and entitlement are widespread, and relations of white dominance and non-white subordination are daily reenacted across a broad array of institutions and social settings. Millions of black Americans are subject to a white supremacist system designed to diminish opportunity for black Americans. One doesn't need to be incarcerated by police, assaulted by police, or killed by police to feel the violent effects of our criminal legal system. But this summer is about the cops. So let's talk about the cops. I don't want to talk about your cop brother or your cop husband, not your cop wife or your cop uncle or your cop dad, just cops. Individual officers could mostly be angels, and it wouldn't be enough to override the violence that is inherent in our, quote, justice system. Let's say the activities of banks are harming millions of people. They are. Could you intrinsically change banks by changing the bank tellers? No. No one would try that. It would be stupid. You can't alter the harmful core practices of any industry without addressing them. So let's discuss policing and how it impacts black people in America. As of 2001, 1 of every 3 black boys born in that year could expect to go to prison in his lifetime, compared to 1 of every 17 white boys. In 2016, black Americans comprised 27% of all individuals arrested in the United States, double our share of the total population. Black youth accounted for 15% of all U.S. children, yet make up 35% of juvenile arrests in a single year. These are facts. Facts that I could spend hours listing that a majority of Americans believe, but a minority of the majority see a problem with it. The reasons for that return us to the concept of white supremacy. The white supremacist viewpoint is these facts are true not because our systems are racist, but because black people are naturally violent, predisposed to crime, and deserve the treatment that we receive. To them, it's a necessary non-evil to maintain the society and the privilege that they desire. These things don't happen because a minority of police do them. These things happen because a majority of Americans want them to. They want excessive policing of black neighborhoods, the very same black neighborhoods that they created by segregating the country.
All I want is a seat in this school. Hey, nothing else. Let us go to our neighborhoods where our kids are safe. We want our kids safe. We want our children safe.
They want police in classrooms to maintain the school-to-prison pipeline, as they know the ones traveling that pipeline won't likely look like them. They want police stopping and searching black and brown drivers at 3 times the rate of white drivers. If you think it's wrong to say that a majority of the majority wants these things, if you think they instead elect to maintain these systems because they're profitable or because they're just ignorant of the way they operate, answer this for me. What the hell is the difference? What happened to Breonna Taylor and George Floyd? What happened to David McAtee and Sandra Bland? What happened to Khalif Browder and John Crawford? What happened to Philando Castile and Tamir Rice and so many others are all bloody and extreme examples of the way that these systems operate. But they don't capture the full scope of the harm, the intentional harm that flows through our society that by no means is exclusive to policing, but police are one vehicle through which this violence is taken to its targets: poor people. Mandatory minimum sentences are a choice. Cash bail that effectively criminalizes poverty is a choice, and methods of policing that arrest homeless people for existing is a choice as well. And as these things all come to light to more Americans, the majority of the majority will do everything they can to undermine a movement to change. So let's talk about change and what those who aren't committed to it will do. They will say an issue worth fixing is policing community relationships. They'll ask for people to invest money in things that effectively amount to public relations for police. Police hugging toddlers or playing basketball with children, and other things that do nothing to change the harm that the system causes. They'll give money to police for more training. There's all kinds of people that will claim if they're paid the right amount that they will train away harmful practices and prejudices from individual officers, despite the fact that the practices and prejudices are implemented at the highest levels. They'll use vague terms like community policing as substitutes for actual change. So what can we change? What goals are worth fighting for? Maintaining this level of policing on black people is expensive. In Los Angeles, the proposed police budget is over 50% of the city's budget. You can defund the police. You can invest that money in housing, public health, healthcare, mental health and wellness, and divest from traditional forms of policing. Even if we're able to cut police budgets in half, though, I doubt black people and black communities will be policed in the same way that white people in white communities are. But if we can meaningfully reduce the police's capacity to harm people, then we will meaningfully reduce harm. We can prioritize people and not policing at the local, state, and federal levels. There will, of course, be significant pushback to this from a disproportionately powered segment of the population. They will fight every step of the way to maintain these systems that they created. They will pay and promote black mascots to parrot their lies. They will infiltrate and undermine all attempts to make progress. You'll be tempted to make preemptive sacrifices to your goals in an effort to, quote, heal the divide. Just know that the opposition has no intention of doing that for you. When they seek to kidnap children, ban Muslims, or brutalize citizens, they just do it. They never ask how you will react or feel. What if you were as committed to the positives as they were to the negatives? Respectability will convince them of nothing. Placation and compromise and showmanship will only earn their ire and at some point makes you complicit. The ideology of white supremacy isn't exclusive to white people. It's unfortunately an equal opportunity employer with hundreds of years of a head start. Young people in America have taken to the streets in all 50 states to try to remove one piece of America's foundational rot, and doing so in the midst of a global pandemic at great risk to themselves and their families. Whenever this round of protests subsides, please don't confuse peace with quiet. They are killing us, and these people are asking for your help to stop it.